Hello everybody and welcome to another Top 10 edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day, and check out our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. And finally, check out our new Altar Sleeves. Get your custom sleeve image of the Magic Mics crew and more at altarsleeves.com/magicmics. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
How's it going?
Ruben Bressler.
Class is in session.
We're ready to do
y'all
this.
Gonna learn.
Yeah, y'all gonna learn today.
You're gonna get learnt, y'all. You put a T on the end of it, learnt. That's how we do it up in here.
And we didn't have to teach you how to say it, unlike
Nice.
Wow.
Period.
Yes, period. We also begin with our choice, the top comment from last week in a segment we call Honorable Mention, where Ruben will tell us who was the most eloquent in letting us know what card we did not choose as one of our top 10 story moment cards. Ruben?
Well, there are lots of ways to submit your applications in for comments of the week to be our honorable mention. This week's comes from our Facebook. Manuel Ayala writes, I'm actually surprised that Crux of Fate was not chosen. Think about it. This is the moment that not only changed Tarkir, but the whole multiverse. Ugin dying affected the whole Nahiri Sorin dilemma, as well as the Eldrazi debacle on Zendikar. If Sarkhan didn't intervene, the Gatewatch would have had no way to beat the Eldrazi nor Nicol Bolas. So that's why my choice is Crux of Fate.
Crux of Fate recently, with some controversy in terms of the most recent version being plagiarized, but it is still a hell of a magic moment and a story card originally from Fate Reforged. It's 2 black, 3 generic mana for a rare sorcery that says choose one, destroy all dragon creatures, or destroy all non-dragon creatures.
Mm-hmm. This was like the first card from Fate Reforged that we saw that was like, hey, time travel shenanigans are going to happen. And also a black wrath that says destroy all somethings for the first time really since Damnation. So, because we gotten a bunch of things like Languish and Minus effects, but this was like destroy all of the things.
Yes, in black, mono black, not black-white, like it just all by its lonesome. It was a very powerful, very cool card.
And those modes did matter. It wasn't like Extinguish All Hope. Remember that one from Theros where it's like, destroy all non-enchantment creatures. And you're like, those all we're playing. Like, what are you talking about? You know, that mode of dragons or not really did make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you want to kill your opponent's Ojutai or whatever.
Yeah.
And it worked out. All right. Yeah. So thanks very much to Manuel for being a part of the show. Please contact us on social media for your prize. Thanks again to CoolStuffInc.com for sponsoring this giveaway. And stay tuned for our top 10 list this week, and maybe you can win next week's free gift certificate. Because it is time to talk about Strixhaven. The class is in session. We have showed up to the honor roll or whatever. I don't know. Homework.
How many school analogies can you fit in?
Throw out some more. We got our backpacks on.
Our syllabus is ready.
Our trapper keepers are trapped and kept, and we are ready to... Hey, trapper keepers were awesome. We're ready to talk about our top 10 cards. Ruben, kick us off. What's your number 10?
I am just a huge fan of things that cost 1 and 2 mana that provide additional value. There's a ton of them in this set, and there's a bunch of them on my list, and one of them that kind of snuck under the radar for me so far is Deadly Brew. Deadly Brew is a green and a black. It's an uncommon. It's a sorcery. Each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. If you sacrifice a permanent in this way, you may return another permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. This is a very powerful effect. 2 mana edicts almost always make it into older formats. This one in particular allows you to turn a token into a Fabled Passage. It allows you to turn a used Dusk Zealot into a Planeswalker that your opponent killed. Or it's just a Trial of Ambition, right? Or it just makes your opponent sacrifice their Dark Confidant, their Kasmina, whatever they're playing early. This card is extremely good.
Yeah, I predict that this will see play in Commander as well, because if you're playing a card like this, you probably have a way to manipulate it, or you probably have a way to come out on top of things. And so this is exactly the card that I would want to play with. And I love this character too, this sort of Witherbloom, the face of the set, Dina. I can't wait to see more of her. And I look at Tarmacat, the cosplayer Tarmacat. Every time I see this, I just see Tarmacat. She needs to do a cosplay of this yesterday.
Yeah, this card is very, very strong. I mean, each player sacrificing a creature or a planeswalker by itself is fine, but now you get a different permanent back from your graveyard, which again you swap it out for whatever is the most powerful thing in your graveyard. That's an awesome effect. I love it.
Yeah.
Aaron, what's number 10?
So this set is important for me because this is the set where I fully embrace my Borosness. Some of the cards lore hold. There's some lore holds in this house. And some of the cards I'm most excited about are red white, which I never thought would happen to me. And one of the cards that is from the Commander deck, I believe, Commander 2021, is very, very exciting. I want to use this card. I want to build around this card. I think it's so much fun. My number 10 is Albu, Ancient Witness. So Albu is 3 colorless, a red and a white, legendary artifact creature golem. Other artifact creatures you control have haste, 4 power, 5 toughness. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control attack, Albu deals X damage to any target, and you scry X, where X is the number of tapped artifacts you control. Note, the X is not necessarily the number of creatures attacking, so if you tapped your mana rocks to do anything, those mana rocks count towards this sort of mere battle sphere kind of bolt effect. And so it's a bolt, it's an artifact creature, it encourages you to play other artifact creatures. Is Scry and Boros? I mean, this is some kind of card advantage here. I mean, this card just packs a wall up, but I just can't wait to come up with something to do with this.
Crew vehicles, use your Springleaf drums. Yeah.
The idea to give red white something other than, we get it, you're a bunch of tiny creatures that work together to do a thing. Like, no, you have to be a little bit different to make Commander for red white players. Do something else, you know? Yeah. Let's make it interesting.
The Lorehold commanders are very interesting, or the Lorehold legendary creatures, and even the mono red, mono white ones that are a little bit Lorehold flavored are a different breed.
Absolutely. So for my number 10 here, this is a card that, you know, like, even though I know Wizards doesn't really care much about constructed this much, I do. I like constructed cards. This to me is a very powerful constructed card, because the more I thought about it, I was like, wow, there's so much value that's wrapped up into this card that in order to stop it or change it, you have to give up a card. You can't just target it with something small. So Dream Strix on rate is crazy good. This is a blue and 2 generic mana for a 3/2 rare bird illusion that has flying. When it becomes the target of a spell, sacrifice it. Not, you know, ability, just a spell. And when it dies, you learn, which means you may reveal a lesson card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand, or discard a card to draw a card. So you're able to rummage, or get, what you should be doing is getting an awesome lesson from your sideboard, but you have a powerful, evasive, on rate that's going to give you card advantage when it dies. That's fantastic. This is terrific in my opinion. I think this card's great.
Yeah. The thing that it replaces itself. It's also 3 power for 3 mana. Those are always going to be good. The fact that this one's, you can take it out with evasion.
Right.
The fact that you can take it out with a giant growth is mitigated by the fact that you're going to get to replace it with a lesson from your sideboard. So
I think my favorite interaction is that if you try to Bone Crusher Giant, you try to stomp this,
yeah.
The stomp will be countered, and that creature will go to the graveyard. It gets it punishes you.
The Bone Crusher puts it into the graveyard. Yes.
Oh, that's neat.
Because it counters the spell, because it sacrifices. So that, to me, that interaction specifically was like, because Bone Crusher like runs this format. So you got to do something about that card. Yeah.
Bone Crusher and Brazen Borrower both get countered. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. I saw some concerned tweets from people as the set was being previewed of, you know, these creatures are really nice, but it just dies to Bone Chewer. Like, that was the new dies to Doomblade that I saw.
Yeah.
Right. And so this card being like specifically kind of, you know, orchestrated to punish it. I love it. Yeah. Let's move on here to number 9. Ruben, what you got?
My number 9 is a card that, you know, I don't normally look at cards and say, wow, that thing looks really good in Commander. But boy, this thing looks terrifying in Commander. Accomplished Alchemist.
Oh, yeah.
It's 3 colorless and a green for a 2/5 elf druid. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Tap, add X mana of any 1 color, where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn.
What?
That's a terrifying thing. So there's the first to fall commander. I forget what the name of that legend is. It's Rayami, First of the Fallen.
Oh, okay.
That allows you to basically chomp your graveyard for keyword abilities, and it's a 5/4. So if you have this in play, and then you play Rayami and kill a creature with haste and death and lifelink, you get the blood counters, attack for 5, gain 5 life, and have 5 more mana. Right? Like that's crazy. And there's so many ways to gain a ton of mana or a ton of life in green. This card seems quite good.
Even elves, you have like the green kind of Essence Warden elf. You have the
Well-wisher.
I think there's like Priest of Titania. Is it the one where it's like you gain Well-wisher?
It's Well-wisher.
Yeah, Well-wisher.
Right. I mean, even just in elves, like tribal elves, this could get ridiculous. And also just a 2/5 good decent butt on an elf.
exactly.
Like, we'll take
Doesn't die to languish.
Like
Can stand
once
in
you
front of
give
a 4/4.
once you get above 4 toughness, it's like a million. Like it's so difficult to solve 5 toughness creatures. I'm so glad it's on your list. This was absolutely on my short list. I'm like, their Wizards has done nothing but make life gain easier and easier and higher on rate and higher on rate. And this is like, and here's your payoff. And we've never seen anything like it. I think this card's been worth $1 million one day. Get your set soon, or get your copy you want to use in your EDH deck ASAP.
Yep. I also like that we're getting some alchemists in the Wizard School set. We haven't had enough alchemists, I feel. And that's like, other than like traditional sorcery kind of casting, not sorcery the card type, but like conjuring a firebolt and throwing it at somebody. Alchemy is like the traditional magic of high fantasy settings. And we don't get a ton of, brewers who are trying to turn iron into gold. And we don't get a bunch of potions. And we're getting a couple in this set, which I really like.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This card in particular is just like, this card is like, this is a card that like scares me. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do with this that's going to make you 1 million mana? Something to untap it, tap it again and make some more. Like, it's going to happen. That thing's going to break something. Aaron, what's your number 9?
So my number 9 was just previewed on Friday, I believe, much to the consternation of the community who thought that they were going to get these previews a little sooner. I'm sure we'll talk about that on the show next week. If I understand this correctly, this is the chef, because every school needs a cooking lady or needs a cook or a chef behind us, and this one appears to be Strixhaven's. My number 9 is Guillaume, Masterchef. I love him so much. He is 2, a black and a green from Commander 2021, legendary creature Troll Warlock. 5 power and 3 toughness with trample. At the beginning of your end step, you create a number of food tokens equal to the number of non-token creatures you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn. You can also pay 1 colorless and sacrifice a food. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. You tap it. And so I love just, there's so many angles to this that are so flavorful of, food for everybody who shows up. That's a thing. You eat a food, suddenly you're hardier. You're indestructible. And he's just so just look at him. He's got his little tool belt. He's got his pepper grinder right here. So he's got his knife. I mean, his little cauldron. I just love this. Yeah.
It's pretty wonderful to be able to use food tokens in a way that is so thematic and
so and kind of evergreen,
Yeah, right.
Everybody gets a sack lunch when they come to school, which I love. The name Guillaume is a hilarious one because we have a couple of professional Magic players who are Guillaumes, but not spelled like this Troll Warlock is. This card is spectacular, and I'm so happy it exists.
It's a troll chef. It's fantastic.
Again, with the mixing of ingredients,
it's
and
a warlock.
It's perfect.
Yeah, the power and toughness is okay. I wouldn't imagine the chef being super high power, but okay.
Listen, you ever seen a lunch lady? Terrifying. They got
destroy
forearms.
Crush you.
You think that it's easy scooping 1,000 giant ladlefuls of mashed potatoes? Come on,
you ungrateful kids.
You're gonna get these muscles right here.
Yeah,
get them wrist muscles.
Yeah, not guns. They're kind of like magazines. Okay.
Yeah.
So for my number 9. For my number 9, look, there came a point, where Wizards was like, we can't print, for example, Swords to Plowshares. We can't print Dark Ritual. And we kind of come to these watershed moments where Wizards kind of comes over and goes, okay, this effect, we can't keep printing Lightning Bolt. We can't just keep printing Birds of Paradise forever or Land of Worlds forever. We have to stop, because to do that makes things interesting, and we'll bring them back maybe in different ways or whatever. It's like, okay, one day they said, no more rampant growth. You just don't get it. And we've gotten in a little bit in different ways, mainly in some enchantments, but we got it in a very unique way with Emergent Sequence. And this is also doesn't necessarily pass the Bone Crusher test, but will definitely tell you if they have one in their hand. Emergent Sequence is a green and generic mana for an uncommon sorcery that says search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. That land becomes a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature that's still a land. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each land you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn. So if you do this on turn 2, you do get a 2/2 out of it, which is great. again, you're both ramping and on rate for the creature, so that's great. And like again, rampant growth on a sorcery to go get another land. I mean, we haven't seen it in a long time. That's awesome.
I really like the balance of this. Like we did want to have a rampant growth effect. You want to have some mixture of ramping creatures and lands to be able to get you from 2 to 4. Right. This one allows you to not overload your deck with things like Paradise Druid. You know, we saw a version of this with the Tangled Florahedron. Mm-hmm. We've seen the attempts at things like this. I really like how this one plays out.
Yeah, the idea that you can, mess with it. You're playing a bunch of lands, and all of a sudden you get like a 4/4 or 5/5. You're doing some real tricks or something. Like, so it's cool for the brewers, and it's sweet, I think, for constructed decks. And that
it also lets you turn on your Lovestruck Beast if you really need a 1/1 to attack. Later in the game, you can make it huge. It's a pretty cool card.
Very nice, very nice. All right, so let's move on here to our number 8. Aaron, what you got?
My number 8 involves 2 things I love: things dying and then things coming back in a way that I don't recall seeing before, at least in a repeatable, guaranteed kind of way, much less the way like this. My number 8 is Eudora Gravegardener. So Eudora is from Commander 2021. I have a lot of Commander cards here, just to warn you. 4 colorless and a green. She's a tree folk druid with 5 power and 5 toughness. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control as a forest land. It has no other types of abilities, and then the flavor text is even in death we never stop growing. So what a great sort of insurance policy where even if things die, you get lands. Like, this is a really neat form of ramp. It really ties into the theory of recycling behind Dredge and behind the Witherbloom. And rather than just giving you that creature back in a way that we've seen many, many times, things come back as lands. That is so cool.
It's a really cool effect.
Yeah.
And the templating is super neat. Like your opponent wraths you and you get like 5 lands out of it. That's pretty dope.
I guess we'll just turn these over then. All right.
Not for nothing, it's a 5/5 for 5. So it's surviving most combats and damage based board wipes.
Yeah. This card is super cool and unique and like
untapped.
You just get to the point where it's like, well, it's in Commander, so like whatever. Like,
right.
Have them come into play untapped. I don't care.
If you can somehow flip them face up in some way, shape, or form,
blink a permanent,
flicker it,
right.
Blink a permanent, exactly. Then you get those creatures back.
That's right,
which is pretty insane.
Fun. Ruben, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is a card. Now, can I interest you in a Monastery Mentor? Can I interest you in a Young Pyromancer? Well, they actually printed something close in this set that not only has a lot of that upside, but also dissuades your opponent from killing it and has a form of evasion. My number 8 is Sedgemore Witch.
Ooh.
Sedgemore Witch is 2 colorless and a black for a 3/2 human warlock with Menace and Ward of pay 3 life.
Yes.
Which is the new hexproof kind of variant.
Yeah.
Whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 3 life. And it has Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you make a 1/1 black and green pest creature token. Whenever this creature whenever this creature dies, you gain 1 life. So the point is that every time you cast an instant or sorcery, you're getting a little friend along with it, just like you do with your Young Pyromancers and your Monastery Mentors.
Right.
But this is also a 3/2 for 3, which is, that's Warpath Ghoul stats with Menace.
Evasion, yeah.
Exactly. Good on rate. That toughness of 2 sometimes is a little annoying when you're trying to attack past stuff, but it has Menace, so you're typically going to take out at least, a 2/3 with it. And then Ward means that it's not just a shockable target with no drawback. So I really like this card.
Right. I mean, if they have to use their Bone Crusher, they're going to lose 3 life for it, which is nice and appreciated.
Which is not nothing. Yeah.
And if you can
this card reminds me of, Evan, you can dig this, Sharon Needles from Drag Race. The white hair, the black dress, the skin.
I see it.
Okay.
I like it.
The dress, I will say, we were talking about this movie in the pre-show. It reminds me of the character Laser from Thunder Force, also.
Oh, okay.
Which is Palm Kloppenspiel.
That is not a recommendation for that movie, by the way.
No, and if you want to know why, you should watch the pre-show.
Yeah, not a good movie. But excellent dress with the shoulder spikies.
Our Patreons get NSFW access to our weird thoughts
And
before
movie
the show.
recommendations.
Movie recommendations and everything else we've been doing. But this card is sweet, and there's a lot of value involved in it. And anything that says, make free creatures, free creatures when you're doing something you're going to be doing anyway, which is casting those spells, that's pretty sweet. All right. So moving on here to my number 8. My number 8 is Wizards has continuously, particularly in when we've seen them make more and more modal double-faced cards. They're just we want to give you both sides of the coin, right? We want to give you what you're looking for in X situation, and we want to give you what you're looking for in Y situation. And oh boy, it's rare that I see them do it so, I don't know, so obviously as
flagrant, what you were looking for.
Flagrant.
Not fragrant.
Is this an eloquent situation?
It was the L instead of the R. The point is, if you look at a card called Flame Scroll Celebrant, this thing is ridiculous. On rate, this card is insane. For a red and a generic mana, it is a 2/1 rare human shaman that says whenever an opponent activates an ability that isn't a mana ability, it deals 1 damage to that player. For a red and a generic mana, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And then on the other side, you flip this card over in your red-white deck, and you see Revel in Silence. For 2 white mana, it's a rare instant that says your opponents can't cast spells or activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities this turn. Exile Revel in Silence. Meaning, when you play this on turn 2, which you're going to in your mono red-white aggro deck to smash and get in there as much as you can, it already has fire breathing built into the thing. And when you're a turn away from winning, and you draw the 3rd copy or whatever, you just play the other side of it on their upkeep and say, do you have anything that can stop me right now? Otherwise, you do nothing for the rest of this turn. This is a little Aurelia's Fury, but they actually put it on a really good creature. They didn't say it's a weird fireball this time. They said, here's a really, really good creature, kind of Aurelia's Fury on the other side of it.
Yeah. And I love this aspect of the lore hold where scrolls are weapons. I think this is the second instance I've seen where this appears to be a scroll that has just spit and fire.
Gun.
This is amazing.
Yeah, scroll guns rule,
Scroll gun, exactly.
And even the book, you look at I get it. Oh, wait a minute. So they're connected. So the fire turns in the red one. You turn over the red one. It appears to be going for the guy. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not quite a pure, I think diptych is the right word for that, but when you put them right next to each other, so they're like skewed or something.
Okay.
But regardless, yes, it is one, flame going from the other. And I love the card. I just love the idea that this is exactly what you want on turn 2 in your aggro deck every single time. It's got all the right abilities. It's got the pump ability when you just want to put mana in something. And you got the best thing on the other side of it when you're ready to win the game. And just do you have anything on your upkeep? GG. That's awesome.
I'm sorry, it's called a what?
Called a what?
Diptych.
Diptych.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It is. I'm just saying. My number 7 is higher on someone else's list, and that's okay. Ruben, what's yours?
I'm still thinking about Diptych. I love this.
Me too.
So there was a little bit of a discussion about how some of the templating of some of the mana costs on a couple of the cards in this set were templated. And they're very visually pleasing to me. And to give you an example of what I'm talking about, I'm going to talk about a card that's near and dear to my heart because it's a turtle druid. Quantrex Cultivator is next on my list. So, Quantrex Cultivator is a 3/4 turtle druid that says whenever Quantrex Cultivator enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic forest or island card, put it onto the battlefield, untapped, then shuffle, which I love. I mean, and it costs 4 mana. We'll get to the mana cost in a second. 3/4 for 4 that gets you a land out of your deck untapped.
Yes.
So that effect is 2 mana, right? Three visits, Nature's Lore, whatever, something like that. So about 2 mana. So for 3/4 worth of stats, you're getting a 3/4 for 2 mana, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? So you're getting a really good rate on your 4 mana 3/4 Turtle Druid. And it's an uncommon. I think this is going to be a very early pick.
Speaking of mana cost, how do you guys feel about that weird, it's my understanding they're trying it in this set, of the mana cost, hybrid mana cost. Do you guys have an opinion on that?
That is what Quantrex Cultivator has. It's a colorless, a green blue, and a blue.
Do you like that?
I like it. I think it's visually pleasing.
Really? I didn't like it at first.
I much prefer it.
I would just say I'm warming up to it in that I like that when you have the hybrid mana, the green's on the green side and the blue's on the blue side, they do something weird like flip them. At least it reads okay that way. It's fine.
Yeah. It makes me feel better from an aesthetic perspective. than having it be colorless green blue, then the hybrid, or colorless hybrid green blue. I think that those would look ugly.
I mean, and you can literally go back and see how they've used hybrid in the past where it's done differently, but like this one, it's a little disconcerting. It's a little weird.
Have we ever seen something though that's been like 2 real ones and then a hybrid? Normally it's like hybrid or bust, right?
Usually,
Correct.
but I think there have been some hybrids in regular mana costs. I can't think of any right now.
I think that there have been like hybrid of, like, for example, hybrid of red, white, and then a black.
Mm-hmm.
Like Thopter Foundry, for example, has that sort of situation happening, but nothing like this, where it's you have to have a blue, you have to have a green,
and then
you have to have either a blue or a green in the middle. Yeah, they've never done anything quite like this.
But for the card itself, the Turtle Druid itself, that's a hell of a rate for what it's doing. That card should be awesome and limited, and I will take it highly.
As we know, I'm a huge fan.
I'm sorry, did you say you're a huge furry? I didn't quite...
A huge
fan of turtles!
Okay, all right. I mean to kick a shell
turtles
over nothing.
Turtles have no fur, Aaron.
Wow.
That's
okay.
You know what?
Get learnt.
I'm just saying, how many times have you dressed up as an anthropomorph... An
A
animal
very fragrant. Anthro.
You're going for anthropomorphic.
Yes,
Thank you. How many times have you dressed up as an anthropomorphic animal on this show?
On this show?
Yeah.
Time to go through some archives? What's going on here?
Personal
it's like 2 or 3.
It's fine, Ruben.
It's okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen. You gotta have hobbies. Magic the Gathering doesn't count.
Does not. Aaron, what's number 7?
So I mentioned earlier that I am a connoisseur of aristocrat decks, and if you are going to be killing your own creatures, you want to get some value out of it, whether it be a regrowth type effect or whether it be your creatures come back as lands. You want something that's worth the trouble. And I'm always looking for fresh takes on that. And when I saw this card, this was also in the Witherbloom deck, the commander deck. I didn't see this coming, and at first I'd kind of dismissed it, but I was like, oh, this is a card I definitely want to try, and I feel could be a good fit for my She-Ray deck. My number 7 is Blight Mound. So Blight Mound is 2 colorless and a black. It is from Commander 2021. It is an enchantment. Attacking pests you control get +1/+0 and have menace. And whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you get a 1/1 black and green pest creature that says when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. So obviously, if you're playing any sort of aristocrat deck, you want your Pawn of Ulamog, you want your Blighter of Skulls, Sifter of Skulls. There you go. So that way you're getting something back for your trouble, and you can sacrifice those creatures and get mana. And we've seen that before. Obviously, Doom Traveler, cards like that are a really big hit in aristocrat decks. This is also something you can use, where this is an enchantment, so that makes it difficult to deal with. And then every time you're sacrificing things, you're getting 1/1 black and green pests that are technically 2/1s and have menace. And then when they die, you gain life. And so this is a really, really neat angle that I would like to try in my She-Ray deck. And if you are playing any sort of commander deck that involves aristocrat type shenanigans, I think you could do a lot worse than this card.
Absolutely. It's tough to want to play permanents that aren't themselves creatures, like Sponsire of Ulamog, or other creatures that when they die, they make tokens, right? This isn't a creature, so it's going to be a bad top deck, but the value on it is so high that everything else makes even more tokens for you, and those tokens get additional value and can actively kill your opponent. It's very good.
This is one of those cards that, it doesn't really do anything when you play it, but it does a lot over the course of a game that makes the game totally unique, essentially.
And if you're playing a aristocrat-style deck, that's a heavy synergy deck, and this has synergy with basically every card in your deck. It's very, very good.
There you go. All right, so let's move on here to number 6. I really like my number 6. It's really weird, but it's cool. I like the numbers on it. I like what you can do with it. I like how it's one of the most unique hate bears we've ever seen in Strict Proctor. Strict Proctor is a white and a generic mana for a 1/3. Notice 3 toughness. That's a magic number right now. For a rare spirit cleric. It has flying, so it has evasion and a big old butt. And whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. And you go, man, what would do that? What would make it happen? So what if you played your own Lotus Field and you just said, nope, I don't want to sacrifice 3 lands because that's a triggered ability, and just say no, and you just get a free Lotus Field. Yeah. What if their Embercleave cost an extra 2 mana to actually have that whole Attache thing happen? Yeah. Like all of these little things add up to like, ooh.
I didn't even think about using it for yourself. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This set is really important, though, for white. You know, obviously, over the last year or two, there's been a lot of feedback that people feel like white is underpowered, both in Constructed and Commander. And it's my understanding that this is the set where they're really going to be trying some new things to try to boost white's profile. There's a card that we might be talking about later, which they're trying to give white card draw. And it looks like they're trying to send white back to more of its taxes roots. And so, you know, trying to find new things that you can tax. We did see that Eidolon from Theros Beyond Death, where you put a tax on like loyalty abilities. And so I like this. I think this is very unique to white. You know, I saw some people who typically play taxes decks that were really excited about this. And so I think this is great. I think that they've made some great... I'm also one of those people who doesn't have a problem with white. So I'm happy to have more toys. But this isn't something... I'd probably put this in my Oketra deck, if anything.
Well, in Standard, look up Clackbraid's Troll. If you remember what Clackbraid's Troll does.
Yeah.
You don't got to give them anything. And in Legacy, Phyrexian Dreadnought costs 1 mana.
Oh, you monster.
You're just like,
God.
Guess I got a 1 mana 12/12 tramp because that's what we're doing here.
Proctor not.
Jesus.
I like it.
Proctor not. I love it. So yeah, this card is sick. It does something really weird and unique, and it may end up being one of the most powerful cards in the set.
I agree.
Yeah. Let's move over here to number 6 for Ruben. What you got?
So, I mean, I like cards that cost like 1 and 2 that are going to see competitive play. I also just like big, splashy, garbage, idiot spells. And as Aaron likes to say, Magma Opus is doing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing a lot. So it's an instant, which is nice. It's a mythic instant for 6 colorless blue-red. And it says, Magma Opus deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets. Tap 2 target permanents, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token, draw 2 cards, and it also has pay a blue-red twice, so pay either blue, red, or blue-red, and discard it, create a treasure token. So we have a lot of these escape valves for these super expensive instants and sorceries that allow you to just make a treasure token instead of having to cast them, letting you put them into your graveyard and letting your other Prismari cards whenever something says cast something in your graveyard or count the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard or do whatever, so that you don't have to actually cast 8 mana spells. Magma Opus also may be the best name of any card in the set, because a Magnum Opus is, of course, the piece de resistance of a composer, but a Magma Opus is the piece de resistance of a Prismari mage.
Yeah, I was really surprised this wasn't in the Commander deck, because this to me is everything that Commander is. It has this amazing name. It's super expensive. It has this over-the-top effect, this multi-pronged effect. It's so over-the-top and it's so ridiculous. I'd be very surprised if this saw competitive play, but this is something where if I was playing any sort of Is It in Commander, I'd be all over this. And it's just the kind of thing you want to shoot for. Gorgeous art. I love, like you said, the kind of almost like a morph cost, almost like a foretell cost, something you can do if you can't cast it. I like that the Prismari have that, where it's like, okay, well, we'll help you ramp so that eventually you can cast these over the top things that we have. And this to me is everything I want to be doing in Commander.
It's like an escape valve. Like it's cycling, but it's not cycling, right?
Yeah.
You didn't need to put cycling in the set if you can have evergreen treasure tokens.
Yeah,
in blue-red, kind of.
But like we found certainly over the years at this point to note that treasure tokens are just fine. Like little lotus petals affect the game a little bit, but like on the whole, on the average, they don't break anything. And I love this idea that like there's a cool 8 mana instant, but if I just don't got the mana, at least I can make something. I can do something.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Aaron, what's number 6?
This was a card that also got previewed pretty late in the preview season from the original set. And I just remember waking up in the morning and just being like, this can't be happening. Like, this is another card that is so over the top. It's currently pre-selling for almost $20 right now. And I love that they keep finding ways to make dragons interesting, where it's not just about breathing. It's not just about crashing in there. I would just absolutely play this. I just can't even look at this with a straight face because it's just so ridiculous. Mine is Belladrose Witherbloom. So Belladrose is 5 colorless, a black and a green, legendary creature Elder Dragon with 4 power and 4 toughness and flying. At the beginning of each upkeep, not just yours, each in a Commander game, add it up. Create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. But Aaron, what am I going to do with all that life? Well, you can pay 10 life and untap all lands you control. Activate this ability only once each turn.
I hope
so. It feeds itself. So you just every turn, whoop, whoop, whoop. If you have any sort of way to like double the counters, which I'm sure you do if you're playing Commander, and then just here's a Seedborn Muse just for 10 life. Like, no big. Like, oh my god, this card is absurd. I love the art by Raymond Swanlin. You have this sort of, kind of black-green dragon. I love the spooky art here. It's just ridiculous. And another card that just, I would be very surprised if I saw it in competitive formats. But in Commander, I mean, this is a joy of just break it in half.
The Seedborn Muse thing, like, reminds me of that question I had one time on a Magic show when I went to a Pro Tour, and I was like, 1 blue, draw 3 cards, lose X life. What does that X need to be for that card to be remotely fair? And they were like, 19? And it's like, how fair is the Seedborn Muse effect? What do you have to make it cost? 10 life? I guess.
10 life. And to make it your commander, which is a huge deal.
Yes.
So having this, and you're almost always going to pay 10 life the turn you play.
And you'll get it back, because if this is still around, you're just going to keep getting more pests. Or if you're playing a Witherbloom deck, this probably isn't your only way to gain life. So you got it laying around. Like, oh my god.
This thing is silly.
It's great.
It's for Commander, it is A++. All right, so moving here to number 5. My last hire, but that's okay. The card's really sweet. Ruben, what's number 5?
My number 5, it's time to put on our tinfoil hats, everybody, because it's Conspiracy Theorist time.
I'm ready.
Uh-oh.
Conspiracy Theorist is a colorless and a red.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
No.
Oops.
There's no conspiracy theory. The card is just named Conspiracy Theorist.
Wow.
Although if you want a conspiracy theory about Witherbloom or about Strixhaven, I can give you one.
Okay.
Conspiracy Theorist is a 1 colorless and a red human shaman 2/2. So it's a 2/2 for 2.
Okay.
It's good aggressive cost. Whenever it attacks, you can pay a colorless and discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Okay, we've got some boast rummaging. I'm on board. Whenever you discard 1 or more non-land cards, you may exile them from your graveyard.
Oh my god.
If you do, you can cast them this turn. That's effectively drawing a card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you play Conspiracy Theorist, then you play your 3rd mountain, attack with Conspiracy Theorist, discard a Conspiracy Theorist, and get it for free. Like, in terms of drawing a card for free.
Right, you draw a card for free at that point. Anything that
this
you
card's
discard,
insane.
This card's fantastic. On the rate,
this card is
amazing.
Really good card advantage.
Yes, in a color that, like, they get really cute with it. Like, they're trying their best not to draw a card on this thing. They're like, well, you kind of do, but you gotta rummage, and then once you rummage, maybe we'll give you a little something. If you had something in your hand that was good anyway, do you have the mana cost -1? Like, yada, yada, yada. Like, this card is likely going to be very good and constructed.
It's a combination of the two things they've been trying to do with red, where for a while there, we were getting, like, these outpost siege type effects of exile the top 3, exile the 1, and you can play this one, until the end of turn or whatever. And then also just like you said, the looting, the discarding, like you said, they will probably never give red just raw card draw, but to give you both of these sort of clauses in one, I think is really, really cool. And a side of red that I really, really like.
I mean, I appreciate them getting clever with it. We don't need a red divination.
No.
Make me get in the red zone. Make me get weird with faithless looting effects or whatever. Like, let's do it.
It's the red zone. Now, if we want a conspiracy theory, I got one.
No.
For you. If you want one, the conspiracy theory is Strixhaven has the Biblioplex, which I don't know if we'll talk about later in the show, but that is essentially the Library of Alexandria for the Magic the Gathering multiverse. It has the sum of knowledge of every spell ever cast in the multiverse, including the Mystical Archive, which has things like Crux of Fate from another plane of existence, Urza's Ruinous Blast from another plane of existence, Freyalise's Radiance from another plane of existence. All of that knowledge is in the Biblioplex. So with all of that knowledge in one place, you know who's going to be attracted to that? The most powerful villains in the multiverse is who's going to be attracted to that.
Oh.
And some of the spells that are in the Biblioplex are from ancient evils that we've seen little bits and pieces of in this set, including on cards like Wandering Archaic, which looks strangely like an Eldrazi, doesn't it? And a bunch of other things that look strangely like Eldrazi.
Lorehold has way too much like Kozilek type looking
piggyback
stuff.
off that for a minute. I had a conspiracy theory that I shared to Twitter the other day. It's a little bit of a deeper dive than yours, but I certainly respect yours. There was an episode of Star Trek Voyager, really, really late in the game, where they discovered this training camp for Species 8472 that was an illusion of Starfleet headquarters. And they were all pretending to be in Starfleet. They were pretending to be human. And I was like, wouldn't it be fabulous if this was like the Eldrazi version of the Species 8? Because they were both schools, like Starfleet Academy, Strixhaven. All these people are illusions. They're not real. They're all Eldrazi underneath. And it's a training camp so the Eldrazi can understand us better.
But wait, there's more.
Oh.
Because the multiverse doesn't end with just Magic the Gathering Planes anymore. Because this summer we're getting the D&D set, and we're going to the Forgotten Realms. And we've already had the crossover from D&D into Magic. Now we're getting the Magic crossover into D&D. And Lorehold and Strixhaven as a whole is the key to unlocking all of those new planes of existence. And we're going to get all of that new knowledge, and all of those spells are going to come into Strixhaven. And Strixhaven's going to be the center, the epicenter of all of this new lore coming into knowledge and existence. And that means that the next big fight that happens is probably going to be over the Biblioplex.
Get this man
So what I'm
some
hearing
yarn,
is this is
markers.
Negan's fault. This is Rick and Negan.
Yes.
This is
Yep.
okay.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
They'll
I
be
want
coming too.
you're like, that's what it means. The
Pepe Sylvia.
bibliotech. It's
This
doing
is,
the
this
thing.
is Pepe Sylvia is what's happening.
Jesus.
Okay, Aaron, what's your number 5?
So my next, I'm so mad. Gavin Verhey, how dare you? My Queen Marchesa deck has already been rebuilt once because you printed all the courts, so I had to turn into a Sphera safety deck. Now I'm going to have to rebuild again because the deck is so tightly packed, I don't have room for any more new cards. And then you have the nerve to release these amazing commander decks. My next 3 cards are all going to be cards for my Queen Marchesa deck. And this next one is a really fresh take on board wipes. It is very political in a way that we haven't really seen before. It's also not necessarily a destroy, it's a sacrifice. So it gets around things like indestructible. And I can't wait to play this one. My number 5 is Promise of Loyalty. So Promise of Loyalty is 4 colorless and a white. It's from Commander 2021. It's a sorcery. Each player puts a vow counter on a creature they control and sacrifices the rest. Each of those creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control for as long as it has a vow counter on it. And that's the problem with these sort of tragic arrogance type effects is that, yeah, you get rid of most things, but there's usually one thing left behind that you're then kind of stuck dealing with. And so this is a really great way to be like, all right, you bitches get one thing. You have to pinky swear you're not going to come at me and then do your thing. And so I love this. It's so fresh. It's so political. It's so different. Vow counter. I love it.
Yeah.
No, this is great. This is that fixes that big problem of, well, they kept their best thing. You know, like, well, I got rid of the rest. Well, they kept their best thing.
Sure.
Well, now the best thing can't come at you.
Not my problem. Yeah. This is
Y'all gonna
Pacific
deal with all
Rim,
that
let them
mess.
fight.
I'm gonna be over here not messing with that. Being
Yeah.
free.
I love it.
That's fantastic. You protect yourself from literally the best threat on everyone's board, and you clear the rest of it. Like this card is amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, let's move on here to number 4. Ruben, what's number 4?
Number 4 is a card that, I mean, there's so many good names in this set. There's so many evocative, things that we see, like Study Break and Pop Quiz and Flunk and First Day of Class. And this one is probably the best because not only is it named multiple choice, but the final option is all of the above. For X and a blue, you get a sorcery. It's a rare. If X is 1, scry 1 and draw a card. If X is 2, you may choose a player. They return a creature they control to its owner's hand. If X is 3, you make a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. If X is 4 or more, do all of the above.
All
Amazing.
of the above. Absolutely.
So for 2 mana, scry 1, draw a card. Sorcery speed, not great, but you do what you can. If X is 2, you can do an untargeted boomerang to their best creature, which if it has hexproof, that's a great.
Bounce a hexproof creature, that's fun.
For 4 mana, you get a 4/4. That's fine.
That's good
on
rate
in mono blue. And if you pay 5, you do all of those things, which is just spectacular. And it really good rate for a 5 mana sorcery.
Yeah, this was my number 7. I absolutely love this card. This is one of the most coolest, flavorful cards of the set. You just can't beat Do All of the Above, which is awesome. And, then people on Twitter were like, well, you'd never play the first or second mode. I'm like, yes, you would. If you're mana screwed, you play mode 1. If you're going for the win, you'd play mode 2. Play, mode 3 if you need to just stop them from killing you. Like, yeah, this is playable at every stage of the game, depending on what your game state happens to be. Like, think a little bit broader than I have to pay 5 mana or it sucks. Like, no, this is all sorts of good options whenever you need them in the game.
And the flavor in this set is off the charts. I mean, you have the Stadium, you have the Cook, you have Study Hall, you have Go Blank, which is Graveyard Hate. I mean, Rest Break or Study Break. I mean, just
Campus Guide.
Yeah, I mean, this is an incredible set flavor-wise.
The Honor Troll.
Yeah.
Yeah, Honor Troll is a good one.
Oh my god, yeah.
Aaron, what's number 4?
This is another card. I'm going to have to use this card. So card advantage is a thing. We've seen cards like my number 4 before, which are like kind of stolen strategy style cards. But this also adds a political element to it where if you want to attack me, that's fine, but I also just get to play with your cards then. My number 4 is Cunning Rhetoric. So Cunning Rhetoric is from Commander 2021, 2 colorless in a black. What? For an enchantment, whenever an opponent attacks you and or one or more planeswalkers you control, exile the top card of that player's library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. So one thing I've learned when playing a Marchesa deck is you have to come up with ways to make them feel like it's worth it. And it's not enough. Like, I've played No Mercy, where it's like, or Tesa, where it's like, well, if you attack me, it's going to get destroyed. And they're like, fine. And so you have to keep upping the ante. You have to say, okay, well, not only is it enough for this thing to die, but it's going to die. I also get to cast one of your cards forever. Is this still worth it? And also just how sweet it must be to get something off the top that you can use against them for 3 mana. What? I mean, just, it's easy to cast 2 colors and a black. An opponent, multiple people. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, you don't have to target an opponent. You don't have to choose somebody. Like,
it just lets you be Gonti, basically.
Yeah.
You're Gonti now.
Yeah, you basically look, if you want to, come on, but you're going to pay for it. And the way that it's worded, it's wonderful how Magic, the Magic game system works, and that these little tiny choices of it's not while you control Cunning Rhetoric, it's as long as it remains exiled. That's a wonderful phrase.
Yes,
it
absolutely
doesn't
fantastic.
Take much in a multiplayer game to convince people to not attack you.
Right.
Usually propaganda is enough. Usually it's like, do you want to pay a mana to attack me? No? Attack somebody else for free.
Right.
Usually that, any amount to not to encourage someone to not attack you is enough. This is a huge effect for 3 mana because it effectively not only draws you a card, but it steals that tool from your opponent's deck, which not only is very powerful, but it feels bad. I mean, so your opponent doesn't want to give it to you.
Right, and there's a whole mechanic called Goad, which you can make them attack you to make you get this effect, which is also awesome.
Sure.
Which
well, I
love
think
it.
Goad makes them attack other people. I don't think
Does
you
it?
can be attacked with Goad. Yeah.
Aha. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I think Goad is you kill each other and I watch, which I've also used in my Marchesa deck.
I'm totally okay with it, and shows you what I know about Commander. All right, great. So my number 4, I'm a little shocked that this wasn't on Ruben's list. I kind of expected this one, but I'm glad I included it because otherwise it wouldn't be here. This card is super dope. I think this card is neat. It's unique. There's a way, look, at some point you just say, if you're doing a 5-color Commander deck, it's just the best whatever. The best everything. I get it. It's the most efficient. It's the most dual landy. It's the, whatever, City of Brass. Just completely go nuts and whatever. No. If you want to make something cool and unique for 5-color Commander, Wizards got you with Cody, Vociferous Codex. None of y'all,
terrifying.
neither y'all, including Cody. Seriously.
Yeah.
Legendary Artifact Creature Construct. It's a rare 1/4 for 3 mana, 3 generic mana. You can't cast permanent spells, it says. 4 generic mana tap, add Wooburg mana. When you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put each other card exiled in this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it gives you a very clear target of what you can do, a way to build a 5-color deck that's unique and interesting, and it's a moving, talking book. That's awesome.
Yeah. This thing is terrifying. Do you know what this reminds me of? This is another deep cut here, so YouTubers, don't leave me hanging. Batman the Animated Series. There was an episode called Heart of Steel, or Heart of Steel, I believe, where there was this Hardak, which was this artificial intelligence. And the way that they snuck into Bruce Wayne's building is they had a suitcase, and the suitcase had like little robot legs and had this little eye that like came out of the top. It looks like the suitcase. Somebody in the comments, please tell me you've watched Batman the Animated Series. Don't leave me.
I mean, this is also just the spell book from Hocus Pocus.
Okay, we'll take that too.
Which is also great.
Okay.
The pet is available on Arena, which is delightful.
Okay.
It is.
The reason why I didn't include this on my list is twofold. One, I did talk about it on the regular show already.
True.
And the 3 cards that I talked about on the regular show, I didn't put on my list. Two, the builds for Cody that I'm seeing on EDH Rec are like combo decks, which I appreciate that this enables that gameplay, but I'm not trying to play Hypergenesis or Living End in Commander. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this should be silly fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the most popular spells in Cody Vociferous Codex are like Dark Ritual to get it out turn 1, which is fantastic. And I love it. But then there's like Mystical Tutor and Imperial Tutor and Demonic Consultation. Like the most popular artifacts are like Jeweled Lotus. I'm like, this is like some CEDH crap that I didn't sign up for when I had my.
Careful, they'll come for you. They're a nasty bunch.
Listen, I look forward to your letters.
You kick that wasp's nest. It's all right.
No, I totally get it, but I don't want to have a whole deck that's full of mana drains and worldly tutors.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on here to number 3. Aaron, what you got?
So one of the reasons why my Queen Marchesa deck is lovingly referred to as Don't Make Me Get Off This Couch is because I like to create the illusion that you can come for me. I like to create the illusion that the shields are down, that you have a shot at this crown right here, and then I have to get off the couch, and I have to cast Comeuppance, or I have to cast Teferi's Protection, or something to remind you that you don't want none of this. And they just don't get it. So you have to have a lot of tools like this in your arsenal. And the moment I saw this next one, I was like, oh my goodness, I need this in my life, because it also means I might just be able to untap and kill you for your incidents. My number 3 is Ink Shield. So Ink Shield is 3 colorless, a white and a black. It is from Commander 2021. It is an instant. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you this turn. For each 1 damage prevented this way, create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying.
Card's ridiculous.
I love it because there are so many times, I can't tell you how many times someone has had that massive, and I'm like, can you count that for me? And they're like, it's enough. I'm like,
it's like 1 million damage.
I need to know. It's relevant. And then just to go whoop and just prevented. And this art is amazing. This is by Gerald Threat, a very new artist to Magic. He is a black artist as well. I believe he did the Rest in Peace, the most recent Rest in Peace for Amonkhet, which for Rest in Peace was gorgeous. And so to me, this is a brilliant, talented, up-and-coming artist. I love this. It has elements of 7 here. Just amazing art, powerful ability. I cannot wait to get somebody with this. And more importantly, I cannot wait to kill you afterwards. Just for you to tap out and then just whoop. And this is flying. So just whoop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a very, very good reason this is a commander card and is not legal in standard.
Yeah.
My God, this thing would be ridiculous.
It is a 5 mana fog, which you have to...
fog?
I gotta get off the couch a lot. It's prevent all combat
It's
damage.
a lot of... Yep. I mean, it's a lot of creatures, though. That's the difference.
You have to prevent, you probably only need to prevent 2 damage to get your mana value out of this. And nobody's attacking for 2 in Commander.
I mean, there's some petty bitches out there, and I know because I'm one of them.
And that's fine, but when you finally go, you're at what? And you go, whoo, and they go, Ink Shield, and you go, oh, God, help us. Well, there you are. All right. Ruben, what's number 3?
My number 3 is the only higher that I have on my list.
Well, okay then. I get to pull the rest of the weight for number 3. I love this card is bananas. This card is actual factual. It grew on a tree. This card is bananas. What they're doing for red white has just been like incredible. Like, there's an awesome red-white deck that exists, whether you're going to play it in Commander and you have your cool red-white stuff going with Lorehold, or you're going to play it in Standard, or you're going to play this creature, which is absolutely freaking amazing. Little did I know we'd have creature on one side, Planeswalker on the other for Mila Crafty Companion. This thing is amazing. This is a 2 white and a generic mana for a 2/3 legendary creature fox. It's mythic. Oh yeah, it's mythic. So for this 3 mana 2/3, whenever an opponent attacks one or more planeswalkers you control, you put a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. And whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Sick. But we got a planeswalker on the other side. On the other side of it is Luca Wayward Bonder for 2 red, 4 generic mana. It's a 5 loyalty walker that says +1. You may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. If a creature card was discarded this way, you draw 2 cards instead. -2 loyalty. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exiled at the beginning of your next upkeep. Okay, at your next upkeep, that's weird. And finally, -7, you get an emblem with, quote, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. This thing just has so much, like, play. It's early game, it's late game, it's a good threat, it's good on mana cost, on rate. Like, you keep the creature until your next upkeep, so you can do all sorts of stuff with it. You can just block with it, but it's got vigilance, it can still attack. My God, this card does everything. It just does everything.
Yeah.
And since it stays till your upkeep, you actually get to respond to the trigger of exiling it. Right. So you could blink it, you could sacrifice it, you can do whatever you want.
All sorts
and the 2/3 is insane. Yeah. I mean, that second line of text is Leovold.
Yes.
That is crazy.
Yeah, touch my stuff. Bone Crusher my stuff, please. It lives through Bone Crusher.
It's better than Leovold in Commander because it also counts abilities.
Yeah.
Which is huge, as opposed to counting like Thoughtseize, because who cares? Who plays Thoughtseize in Commander?
Right.
Being a 2/3 that is able to get card advantage in white, I mean...
And it also plays into, if you are to go back to earlier, I said that, they were kind of leaning into that taxes side of white, your permanents are probably going to be a target. And so this really leans into that, where if you are playing a taxes style deck, you know that they're going to be coming for you. And then, okay, if you don't have Mom out, you don't have Giver of Runes, okay, you still get cards and you can just sort of keep being annoying and taxing. So yeah, this is a really, really brilliant card for white.
This card just does so much for the red-white deck that you want to play. It's cool. It's not super aggressive, but man,
and it's also not unusual. I seem to recall some versions of Legacy, Death, and Taxes that will run like a red Achroma just for when they're either vials. They're like, all right, I'll just keep ticking it up. And so, if you want, if you've already done the Mila thing and you're just sort of going to the long game, which sometimes Death and Taxes does, just play a 6 mana red Planeswalker. Okay.
Why not? Let's do it. I mean, sure, you're probably going to play the front face more than the back face, but the fact that the back half is a freaking 6 mana walker is just not. This the front half. It didn't need the Planeswalker on the back for me to be like, wow, this is a good card,
Yeah.
Like, holy cow. All right, let's move on here to number 2. Ruben, what you got?
My number 2 and my number 1 are just cards that are going to see play in every format forever. And my number 2, I mean, there's so many 2 mana cards in this set that are just going to live in Vintage and Legacy forever.
Staples.
And
Absolute staples.
Vanishing Verse is one of them.
Yep.
For a white and a black instant, rare, exile target, monocolored permanent. What? What
Excuse me?
Are you joking? Exile target monocolored permanent. Are you kidding me? Everything is like 90% of the stuff you want to get rid of.
Alchemist, Oath of
90%
Druids.
of the things you want to get rid of.
Think of all the threats. Think of all the threats. And just think of like how small the multicolor number are.
Instant speed.
Bolas' Citadel.
Yeah. The only thing this doesn't get rid of is like Nicol Bolas,
Blightsteel Colossus,
and Blightsteel Colossus, and that's about it. Right? Like you're dealing with almost everything at instant speed for 2 mana.
Like Brazen Borrower, the Bone Crusher, all that adventure crap, like gets rid of all that stuff. The new dragon gets rid of the new dragon. The
and
gold
type
stand
doesn't
dragon.
matter. Enchantment, artifact. I mean,
literally stone anything. This card is absolutely brilliant. I'm glad it's on your list. It was very close to mine because like it's one of those that's like I just recognize it like as a powerful Magic card that you can play forever. I mean, here's one of them. you know?
Yeah, and we've been seeing Esper decks kind of creep up in Modern. There's a deck that's kind of seeing a lot of play right now called Esperka or Esper. Some of the Polish players have been playing it, and there's been a deck in Legacy called Esper Buffoons or Esper Idiots, where it's just sort of like an Esper hate bear deck. And so, Esper is kind of seeing its time right now, which is blue, white, black, and this fits in really nicely with that.
We used to call that deck Fish.
Did you? Okay.
Back in the day.
I know something about fish. Let me tell you.
We all know something about fish.
Gotta serve it up, y'all. Gotta serve it. I learned that from this show. Thank you very much.
Fish was a real popular Legacy deck in like 2006,
right?
2007. You played cards like Shadow Mage Infiltrator, Old Man of the Sea.
Okay.
And other Esper Hate Bears backed up with Daze and Force of Will. And that was sort of your strategy. You played. It was kind of like a tempo Delver deck before Delver existed.
Okay.
And most of your creatures were just like crappy bears.
Tell us about the old metagame, Grandpa.
Listen,
what creatures you smashing in with?
When the whole metagame was like Flash Hulk and other
stupidity
and like goblins.
Yeah.
Before Death and Taxes was Death and Taxes, you needed to have the blue counter spells and some other weird crap to go along with it, and that's where Fish came from.
There you go. All right, so Aaron, what's your number 2?
I love this so much. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but the minute I saw it, I literally just yelled, "Shut up," because it's everything I want to be doing in life. It's so over the top. It's ridiculous. And the cherry on top is it's Seb McKinnon, who just blew it out of the water. And then, of course, immediately had a Kickstarter and was like, you can get this print and play that too. I can't. My number 2 is Harness Infinity. So Harness Infinity is in the main set. It is 1 colorless, 3 black, and 3 green for an instant. And it just says, exchange your hand and graveyard. Exile Harness Infinity.
What is happening with this card?
Oh my god.
What mana cost is 1 black, green,
I mean,
instant
what
spell?
a great insurance policy where if you're playing like a broken, and this is another one of those cards you don't even really have to break it. Like you can just play Magic and then you can just decide like whoop and then just swap them. And, or if you are playing a busted graveyard deck, if someone does try to come for your graveyard and just be like whoop and then get it back. And so this art is incredible. Seb McKinnon playing with black and yellow and green and just this gorgeous scene of somebody that appears to be in front of a portal that's being sucked into things. And oh my god, Seb, how could you?
This whole freaking spell is ridiculous. I just feel like it was a sorcery for some amount of time, and they said, why don't we just...
Oh, and you have to exile it too. I should have said that. But
right. But you have to exile Harness Infinity. You mentioned it, but like, the point is just to just swap the whole, to pick up the whole thing. This is my hand now. This is our lives now. This card is absurd.
Particularly in Commander, it's not on Reliquary Towers, Thought Vessels.
The fact that this card is an instant is like... why
look,
is this an instant?
We don't know.
Like,
well,
it's absolutely wild. So Sir Conrad the Grim is a pretty fun combo with this card. And of course, late game you just get everything back. This is just an absolutely wild card. Plus, I can torrentially Gear Hulk it.
I mean, of course you can't. Well, no, you can if you played it, but if you put it in your graveyard somehow.
Oh, sure. If I discard it somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Well, for my number 2, this card is going to see an absolute ton of play. This was a card they revealed over the big event, and it took them a very long time. This is a card that could have been personalized in Kaldheim, but instead Paulo Vitor decided to wait until Strixhaven so he could be the face of Elite Spellbinder.
My number 3.
Nice. Elite Spellbinder is a white and 2 generic mana for a 3/1 rare human cleric with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast this way costs 2 generic more to cast. So if you've played against Elspeth Conquers Death, if you've seen the power of a 3/1 flyer for 3, which I certainly have over the years, this thing has it like coming and going. And when you go back to the old formats, to be able to Aether file this during their draw step is insane. Yeah. I love the hell out of this card. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, this is a great tempo play. Anybody who's lost like a Kite Sail freebooter, I mean, this is the way the aggressive decks work is, they don't necessarily need you to stop from casting it forever. They just need to buy themselves a little bit of time to where you just eat that one board wipe and you kill them before it matters. You kill them before they get to your Kite Sail or, before they're able to do this or before they have the mana. And that's really all you need to do. And so the fact that it is flying, I would be very surprised if this didn't see play.
Yeah, I mean, this card is, you're going to see turn 2 Kite Sail, turn 3 this in Modern, and it's going to be a hand
Because humans
disruption
needed
deck.
more good cards. Like,
Right. It's also very good in Standard, obviously, because you're going to take their 4-mana Wrath, anything that's going to take care of your board of red-white weenies or black-white value tokens or whatever it is that this ends up in. This is also just a good card in, like, a control mirror, right? Like, you sideboard into a bunch of elite spellbinders, your opponent's probably sided out a lot of their removal in the blue-white mirror. You play this on turn 3, take their one ability to deal with you, and not only are you going to get in for like 9 over the next couple turns, but then they're going to have to spend 5 mana to deal with your stupid 3/1 flyer. Yeah. This is a Vendilion click. This thing is, unfortunately, it does not combo. It's an anti-combo with Stern Proctor, which you kind of would like to run both of those kind of effects. But the thing is, if your Stern Proctor is in play and it's doing work, you don't need Elite Spellbinder. And if your Elite Spellbinder is in play, you don't really need Stern Proctor.
Yeah.
So you can still run these cards in the same deck. It's going to be unfortunate when it doesn't work out, but they're both very, very
And the
good.
Texas decks are also very good at mana denial. So if you're playing this in older formats, Rishon import, good luck getting into that extra 2. Or in Modern, they'll just Ghost Quarter you. And so, that 2 sounds possible. You're like, oh, just 2 more turns. Oh, no, that's if they let you have the mana.
Right. It gets weird. It's that Elspeth Conquers Death thing where you're like, hey, it's just 2 mana. But you're like, man, I got to pay 5 mana for a Brazen Borrower? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It really does.
Everybody's gotten Spell Pierced. Everybody's gotten even Force Spiked. You're telling me 2 more mana? Who in this economy?
And it's like, even if you just make them pay more, like, yes, I made you pay 4 mana for your Heartless Act. Like, you had to use your whole turn's mana in order to kill this one thing. That's awesome. This card has done its job at that point. That's still great, So this card is sweet, and I love it, and it's awesome. Let's move on here to our number 1. Ruben, what's your number 1?
So my number 1 card from Hour of Devastation was Abrade. I immediately told you that Abrade was going to see play in every format forever, and it in fact did.
It did see a lot of play.
Guess what? We have a better Abrade in Rip Apart.
Yep, my number 5.
Rip Apart is ridiculous. For a red and a white, it's a sorcery. Choose one. Deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target artifact or enchantment. That is twice as many things as you could do with Abrade. And Abrade sees play everywhere.
Yep.
This is able to deal damage to planeswalkers and destroy enchantments.
Yep.
Wherever Wear and Tear sees play right now, Rip Apart is probably going to see play there.
And Red has always struggled with enchantments. Typically in the modern burn decks, they would run like Destructive Revelry if they were worried about Leyline of Sanctity. They could this is great for them. I mean, this is great for the modern burn decks. The ability to target a creature or planeswalker is stellar. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about this one seeing play, going all the way up the chain. Oh, yeah, and this is because, we like to play competitive constructive magic, and it's like, Wizards is like, okay, we're happy that you're excited about this card. Maybe it'll see play in a commander deck, and we're like, but it's like some of the best on-rate removal, yada yada. They're like, whatever, have fun, see you later. I think it could see play. I'm a huge advocate of playing answers in Commander, and even in Commander, I mean, it's artifact, it's enchantment, it can ping something, it can ping a planeswalker. Super Friends decks are very much a thing. I would play this in a Commander deck. Like, that wouldn't stop me.
And since this was my number 1, I wanted to talk about the other cards that are 2 mana cards that are
that card is so good.
Removal that have ever existed.
Yeah.
Which card did you say?
Fracture. White and black. Instant destroy target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker.
Yep. Fracture.
Fantastic.
Witherbloom command.
Mm-hmm.
There's a blue-green one that's like a counterspell or a fight card. Mm-hmm. I'm forgetting the name of. But like the value of these 2 mana. Oh, and then there's Morality Spear, which is 2 colorless black-green instant. Costs 2 less if you gained life, and everything in Witherbloom gains you life, and it's destroy target non-land permanent at instant speed. I mean, the amount of value you're getting for 2 mana on these mostly uncommons is spectacular.
Yeah, the one you're talking about was Decisive Denial.
I'm thinking of the board wipe. Have you seen that Golgari board wipe for like 4? That's like anything 2 or less goes, and then you get mana for each thing that died. Like
Culling Ritual. Yep.
Yeah, Cunning Ritual is dope. And there's just a bunch of just super high rate stuff. Double major, a green, a blue for a clone. Like,
But
clones.
a clone that lets you copy your Fern the Fangbearers.
Yeah,
which I really
lets you copy
like.
legendary spells or legendary creatures,
Yeah.
rather. You know, it's like, okay, I guess we're doing that now at super low rates.
I really want to make a deck that's like it's double major and Mystic Reflection with Finn the Fangbearer and just poison out somebody in one turn.
Goodness. Why?
He's that person. He's that person. Aaron, what's your number one?
Make my pests into fins.
So one of the biggest cards that made an impact in Modern Dredge was Cathartic Reunion. That was the card that really pushed Modern Dredge over the top and contributed to Golgari Gravetroll getting banned because you were effectively, on a good day, you were drawing 18, and that was just a little bit too much. And it gave the deck the speed that it needed to really race what a lot of people were doing in Modern and would make it very difficult for them to catch up. And Cathartic Reunion's fine, and we haven't really gotten anything since then. We got like Thrill of Possibility, which is fine, but you know, sometimes we talk about cards that we think Wizards will never give us again. They're never going to give us like a discard draw. They're never going to do it. And then this card came out, and it was like, oh, we're back here again. And so I'm very excited to have what could possibly be Cathartic Reunion 5, 6, 7, or 8. My number one is Thrilling Discovery. In Boros! Like, are you kidding me? So Thrilling Discovery is red and a white. It is a sorcery. It's a common. You gain 2 life.
Sure.
And then you may discard 2 cards, and if you do, you draw 3 cards. So, you know, would I love a Cathartic Union with a little bit of life gain on the side? Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it also removes that additional cost, right? You don't have to discard the cards anymore.
Well, sometimes there are situations where you're fine as long as you get cards in the graveyard, like against the control deck specifically. But if you know this thing's going to resolve, you just want it. This is great. And
right.
so mana cost is a little bit more restrictive, but we do have tools in red and white that we'd want to play anyways. And so I think this is a very exciting card for Modern Dredge. I don't know if we're going to run all 4, but I'm very excited to test with this. I never thought they would give us another one of these. And with life gain. And I also just love the little dwarf. The little dwarf in the air. It just makes my heart so happy.
It is a very cool card. This is the idea that they're just like, well, we're going to add, we're going to make it harder to cast. We're going to give you that little upside. We're not going to make you discard as a cost, which sometimes is a good thing.
Yep.
But at least in like a limited environment, I know I would often, certainly against a blue deck, you don't want to go sort of all in with a Cathartic Reunion if they may have something. And you're like, well, I'll play Thrill and Discovery. You got it or you don't. Like, I don't gain 2 life. Oh no. But if I do gain 2 life, I can then Cathartic Reunion.
The other thing about Thrilling Discovery that's nice is that sometimes you'll top deck a Hellbent Cathartic Reunion and just be like, this is the worst day of my life. This, you can at least gain the 2 life.
Because you
really
may... Well, it also says
Right.
Okay, yeah, you may discard 2 if you do. Okay.
If we're on a race situation and I top deck a Cathartic Reunion, that is kind of bad. If I top deck this, at least I'm getting 2 life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's better than nothing. It's better than, this was a dead card that does nothing and I die.
Right. And the upside is, we draw 5 with our Riel the Everwise or whatever it is we're doing.
Sure. Something silly. All right, so for my number one here, this was definitely a card that I couldn't really believe it when I read it the first time, and the artwork is so cool. It's one of these very super duper flavorful cards. Yes, I pick it as one of the cards I talked about in the show because I love it so much. Mavinda, Student's Advocate, is still a fantastic Magic card.
I just love this art so much.
It's just everything about it makes me so happy. It's a white and 2 generic mana for a 2/3 mythic legendary bird advisor. It has flying, but here's the kicker: for 0:: you may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell doesn't target a creature you control, it costs 8 more to cast this way, which basically means you're never doing that. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, you exile it instead, activate only once each turn. So they did limit you a little bit. There's this thing where they're doing this okay, here's an awesome white card, you can do it once, or this is a really sweet effect, you get it once. It's not just white, but it's mainly white.
Giving white flashback like this? I mean, that's
weird.
What Feather needed to be good, so here we go.
And just a reminder, Mavinda is the bird on the left, not the person on the right. I've seen a lot of people that are like, oh, Mavinda has such pretty red hair. It's like, no, Mavinda has pretty feathers.
It's a bird advisor. Did that not?
I'm just saying,
y'all.
People are missing it.
Context clues.
The fact that every single cantrip that targets a creature gets better now is amazing.
Yes.
Every acrobatic maneuver, every defiant strike, every Justicar's portal, effect, every single one of them doubles up.
It feels like a
it's
bomb
insane.
unlimited. Like you're like, I get to pick all these cool cantrips, all these cool, plus X's, whatever. And when I draw Mavinda, I go completely nuts with it. And you can do it each turn during their turn as well.
And the other thing that's really cool about Mavinda is if you do end up with infinite mana in some way, you can just flashback your regular spells. Because that 8 colorless mana is irrelevant, right? So you can end up making infinite mana however you want to in Commander, play this, and give 3, 4, 5 things flashback.
Well, you can only do it once a turn. That's the
well, yeah,
right.
But over the course of
several turns, absolutely. So yeah, the value in this is long term and fantastic. It's great just playing Magic. You don't have to like build a Mavinda deck. You're just like, Mavinda's going in this deck that has a lot of things that make my creatures awesome. That's about as far as you need to go, and that's why it is my number 1. All right, so those are our top 10 Strixhaven cards, not story moment cards, dang it, script. You'll see them on screen right now if you review. Take a look at my list, Aaron's list, Ruben's top 10, and we want to hear from you about what card we did not talk about, and we'll select our favorite to win a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com. But before we go, I want to thank my co-host. Thank you, Aaron.
Class dismissed.
Thank you, Ruben.
School's out for summer. Exactly.
That's right. Cue up the soundtrack. Get to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com and AlterSleeves.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at Twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.